Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschattadesha Tarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. You can remember your spiritual master and recite the Guru Shishya Parampara. Param Pujya Radhanath Swami Maharaj, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Gaur Kishore Bhakti Vinod, Baldev Jagannath, Vishwanath, Narottam, Krishnadas, Raghunath, Jeevarup Sarup Sanatan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ishwarapuri, Nityananda, Advaita, Madhendrapuri, Lakshmipati, Vyas Tirtha, Brahmanya Tirtha, Purushottam, Jayadharma, Rajendra, Vidyanidhi, Dayanidhi, Jnana Sindhu, Jayatirtha, Akshobhya, Madhav, Nrhari, Padmanabh, Madhva, Vyas, Narad, Brahma, Sri Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you to Bhakti Vaibhava course. We are studying Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Today we will begin with chapter number 10. Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Madam.
Prabhuji, how much lectures you will require, Prabhuji, to complete the 2 chapters, Prabhuji? Madhusudan Prabhuji said that if you can take extra lectures, na, he can postpone the exams.
Okay. So, I think we will be able to know it this, I think tomorrow, maybe tomorrow we will come to know.
Okay, tomorrow you will decide. Okay, Prabhuji.
Definitely we will need at least 1 or 2 lectures. You may postpone the exam. If we cover on time, well and good. Otherwise, you get few more days to study.
He said it depends upon you how much extra lectures you will be taking.
At max 2, not more than that.
Okay, 2 lectures. Means this week we have 2 lectures and plus 2 lectures, na, Prabhuji?
No, oh, this is the last? No, next week.
This is the last week.
But this is last week?
Yes, Prabhuji.
As per the calendar?
Yes, per the calendar.
I thought 1 more week is there with us, 2 more lectures, no? Okay. Yeah, maybe next week also. I was thinking.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay.
So, at least 4 to required, but then we may need 1 more extra lecture. Let's see.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So, in the last chapter, chapter number 9, we studied passing away of Bhishmadev and also Bhishmadev's instruction to Yudhishthira Maharaj on how to rule the kingdom of Hastinapur, right? And we also gone through the beautiful prayers of Bhishmadev. Before that, in the 8th chapter, prayers of Kunti Maharani, right? Now, after completing that and giving his association, guidance to the Pandavas, now Lord Krishna is said to depart for Dwarka. Now, this will be described in this chapter what all happens when Lord Krishna decides to leave for the Dwarka. So, chapter number 10, departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. Text number 1. So, Rakshadevi Mataji, are you there? Okay, you can recite the verse and then somebody will read the translation. Yeah.
Prabhuji, I will try. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
I'll come quickly in a minute. Okay, so you read the you recite the verse, and Aruna Mataji, you read the translation. I'll come back. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Aruna Mataji, can you recite the verse? I will read the translation. Aruna Mataji.
I'll try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Shaunaka uvacha hatva swarikta spruddha atatayi आततायिनो युधिष्ठिरो धर्मभूतां वरिष्ठः सहानुजो प्रत्यवरुद्ध भोजन कथं प्रवृत्त किमकारशीत्ततः.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Saunak Muni asked, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of all religious men, Maharaja Yudhishthir, assisted by his brothers, rule his subjects? Surely he could not freely enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness. Krishna. Mataji, Kunti Maharani श्लोका रिसाइट माताजी खले न देव की. प्रभु जी आए तब तक
आ जाएंगे माता जी. प्रभु जी आप कीजिए ना, आपको करना है.
नहीं आप कीजिए ना. यथा ऋषिकेश खलेन देवकी कंसेन रुद्धाति चिरं सुचार्पिता विमोचिताहं तज आत्मजा विभो त्वयेव नाथेन मुहुर्विपद्गणात्. राइट माताजी.
नेक्स्ट. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय श्री गोविंदाय नमो नमः.
नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रये.
Hare Krishna. So you are doing rehearsal or what?
Sorry Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. We are practicing yoga Prabhuji.
Okay. So for your exam.
Yes Prabhuji.
Okay. Good. So you read the translation? You already read the translation?
Yes Prabhuji. Yes Prabhuji.
Okay, fine. So this is question asked by Shaunak Rishis, Sutta Goswami, that how did Yudhishthir Maharaj rule assisted by his brothers? The last line of the shloka Prabhupada translates, surely he could not freely enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness. Anyway, he was not going to enjoy because he was never thinking to enjoy the kingdom. Right? Prabhupada writes in the purport, Maharaj Yudhishthir was the greatest of all men of religion. Thus he was not at all inclined to fight with his cousins for the sake of enjoying the kingdom. And Prabhupada in between writes, he could not enjoy the results of his victory because his cousins were all killed in the fight. So this is the material world actually. You can't enjoy either you are victorious or you are loser. So when you lose, naturally you don't enjoy. But even if you win, still with that victory comes at the expense of losing so many things, isn't it? In case of Yudhishthir Maharaj, he lost all his brothers, cousin brothers. Of course, so many relatives also on his on their side also, and because of that, Prabhupada writes here, he therefore ruled over the kingdom as a matter of duty, assisted by his younger brothers. And Prabhupada, last 2-3 lines, just read that. The inquiry was important for Shaunak Rishi, who wanted to know about the behavior of Maharaj Yudhishthira when he was at ease to enjoy the kingdom. So this is a question. Generally, you can test a person in his prosperity, not in his adversity. The test of the person is not just in his adversity, but also in his prosperity. If you want to know the behavior of a person properly, the test is done. So you may say, okay, in adversity, the person is actually tested. So in adversity, everyone becomes humble, isn't it? But in prosperity, to become humble is even more challenging. Therefore, Prabhupada rightly, points out here that he wanted to know, now after the throne of Hastinapur, been given to Yudhishthira Maharaj by Lord Sri Krishna, and Bhishmadev also gave him instructions. Now everything is settled. Now he is enthroned. Now how he behaved, how he enjoyed, rather, not enjoyed, but Prabhupada writes, when he was at ease to enjoy the kingdom, he could have enjoyed, right? Just like modern politicians, they, during the time of election, they will promise so many things. They will, behave as if they are dependent on the people, citizens. As soon as they get the authority to rule, then you are gone. They will behave as if, it doesn't matter or doesn't bother to them whether you live or die. They will create such situations in the nation, society. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was not like that. And not just for Yudhishthira Maharaj, but this also applies to all of us. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada gives the story of, a rat. Not rat. What was the story? Yeah, rat only. Yeah, one. What was that story? Yeah, one rat only. So rat, he was troubled by cat. So the rat requests to one sadhu that that cat is troubling me. So then sadhu says that, okay, from rat you become dog, something like that, right? And then gradually, whatever you become in this world, still there are problems from other living entities, right? Unless you become a king. So finally he becomes a tiger. And then the tiger has a tiger consciousness, isn't it? Even though he may have been anyone earlier. So then the tiger tries to kill that sadhu only. He says, now I'll kill you. Then sadhu says, okay, you again become mouse. Punarmushika bhava. You don't have the gratitude of whatever you received. So better you be without any opulences, without any assets. So similarly, before coming to Krishna consciousness, we all were like mice, small little Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse, children's play. So, but then after we start chanting Hare Krishna, we are little well known to our community. Then we start, okay, I am this, I am that, I am the king of this particular section. Just like a lion is a king of particular section of a jungle. Similarly, we think that now I am authority on this particular section of our community. I hold authority over this particular department. I hold authority over this particular seva. And then we don't care for anyone else. And we start offending others out of pride. And then again, Krishna helps you to become humble by making you again Punar Mushika Bhava. Right? So this question is very important here. So although Yudhishthira Maharaj had the ease to enjoy, so whether he enjoyed or not, how did he behave? That's the question of Shaunak Rishis. And Sutta Goswami then answers. Yeah, Rakshadevi Mataji, you can recite the verse, second number verse.
Prabhuji, Aruna Mataji is more better.
Okay, yes,
recited.
Aruna Mataji, then you can recite.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I will try.
Yes.
Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat.
Sutauvacha Vamsham Kurorvamshadavagninam Niharhatam Sarohayitva Bhavavano Harihi Niveshayitva Nijarajya Ishvaro Yudhishtiram Pritamana Babhuvaha. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Yes. Venkatesh Prabhu, can you read the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Dandavat pranam.
Good.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Sutta Goswami said, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of the world, become pleased after re-establishing Maharaj Yudhishthira in his own kingdom and after restoring the Kuru dynasty, which had been exhausted by the bamboo fire of anger. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So Sutta Goswami here is the answer that how Yudhishthira Maharaj ruled. But then interestingly, what Yudhishthira Maharaj, Sutta Goswami is answering, the question was how did Yudhishthira Maharaj rule, right? But Sutta Goswami says, Lord Sri Krishna, he became pleased. The question was asked about Yudhishthira Maharaj, but in answer is given how Lord Krishna was pleased with establishing Yudhishthira Maharaj. Why? Why this is so? Why the emotions of Krishna are expressed? Because the whole purpose of the existence of Yudhishthira Maharaj was to please Krishna. So when Krishna was, because Yudhishthira Maharaj was dedicated to Lord Krishna, when Yudhishthira Maharaj ruled, was given the rule of Hastinapur, so Lord Krishna was more happy than anyone. And therefore to convey the emotions of Yudhishthira Maharaj, emotions of Krishna are expressed. So when Lord Krishna was happy, naturally Yudhishthira Maharaj was very happy. Why? Because that was the purpose of his life. And of course then Prabhupada says, it is said in the verse that how this rule, how this Kuru dynasty was destroyed. How it was destroyed? Has been exhausted by the bamboo fire of anger. Prabhupada writes beautiful purport. Prabhupada says, every morning we sing this prayer, Sansar Davanal. So Sansar is like a Davanal, is always burning. And this fire, how this fire happens? Prabhupada writes, similarly in the material world, from the first line he writes, this world is compared to forest fire caused by the cohesion of bamboo bushes. Such a forest fire takes place automatically. For bamboo, cohesion occurs without external cause. Similarly, in the material world, the wrath of those who want to lord it over material nature interacts, and the fire of war takes place. Isn't it? The wind is the wind of wrath, or the wind of Prabhupada further ahead writes. And the fire of war takes place, exhausting the unwanted population. Such fire or war takes place, and the Lord has nothing to do with them. But because he wants to maintain the creation, he desires the mass of people to follow the right path of self-realization, which enables the living being to enter into the kingdom of God. And then further Prabhupada writes 2-3 lines ahead. The whole plan of creation is made in that way. And one who does not come to his senses suffers in the material world inflicted by the illusory energy of the Lord. Someone, the mic is on. Can you mute it? Gandhi Prabhu, yours is on. Can you mute it? Yeah. So what is that fire? What is that wind? Just like wind, crashes the two bamboos together, dry bamboos, and then there is a friction, and then there is a fire, right? So in the material world, everyone has a different interest than the interest of the Lord. So you want to enjoy in a specific way. I want to enjoy in a specific way. somebody else want to enjoy in a specific way. There is no center. So therefore there is a clash, the clash of desires, and that clash of desires generates a fire, the fire of war, unhealthy politics, and so many things which we are, every day we are seeing in this current modern world. Every day there are news that this happened, that happened, this country, is set to set out on a war with some other country, or within a country, one particular city to one state to another state, one city to another city, and then one family to another family. Within family, one member of the family is fighting with another member. Why? Because there is no common interest, there is no common center, and because of that there is a friction. And so basically, wind of the material desires, those, the ordinary fire may just burn, a particular small tract of land, but the fire of material desires, it burns throughout the material existence for, as long as you want, millions, trillions of years. That has been burning since the beginning of creation, and will go on as long as we do not come to our senses. That's what Prabhupada writes here, that he wants to maintain the creation and desires the mass of people to follow the right path of self-realization. The Lord wants the suffering human beings to come back to him and cease to suffer the threefold material pangs. The whole plan is made in that way. Therefore, we all suffer. Right? So unless we try to, remove this fire of material desire, how can we remove this fire of material desires? What is the solution? What is the way out?
Performing the devotional service to the Supreme Lord.
Yes. By performing devotional service, we purify our desires. From our desires at this point of time, they are now material. We have to convert them to spiritual. Our consciousness is directed towards enjoying matter. We have to redirect our consciousness from matter to spirit, and eventually to Supreme Spirit. That's how we can eventually, bring final closure to this fire. That's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. He gave Bhava Maha Davagni Nirvapanam. Isn't it? There is a Davagni of Bhava. This material world is a burning place. And this Davagni can be removed only by Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Beginning with the chanting of the Maha Mantra, and then eventually all other things will fall in the right place. Then, of course, at the end of the Prabhupada writes, the battle of Kurukshetra was fought according to the plan of the Lord, so that the undesirable persons could go out of the world and a peaceful kingdom under his devotees could be established. Therefore, Lord Krishna was fully satisfied. And then, third verse. Yeah, Aruna Sumika Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna. Dishamya Bhishmoktamatachutoktam Pravritta Vijnana Viduta Vibhramaha Sashasagramindra Ivajitashraya Paridyupanta Manujanuvartitaha. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Gandhi Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dhanavad
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaja Yudhishthir, after being enlightened by what was spoken by Bhishma Deva and Lord Krishna, the infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas and was followed by his younger brothers. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So he was guided by not only, his grandfather Bhishma, but then also by Lord Sri Krishna. Under their guidance, he was ruling. Prabhupada gives the answer for the last verse question in this purport. You go to the second paragraph of the purport. Prabhupada writes, like the modern elected executive head of a state, is just like a puppet because he has no kingly power. Actually, it was the case in the last government, as you know the case. Exactly like a puppet. Even if he is enlightened, like Maharaj Yudhishthira, he cannot do anything out of his own goodwill due to his constitutional position. Therefore, there are so many states over the earth quarreling because of ideological differences or other selfish motives. But a king like Maharaj Yudhishthira had no ideology of his own. Everyone has their own ideology. It should be like this, it should be like that. But neither is perfect. And Prabhupada further writes there. But a king like Maharaj Yudhishthira had no ideology of his own. He had but to follow the instruction of the infallible Lord and the Lord's representative like Bhishma Deva. It is instructed in the Shastras that one should follow the great authority and the infallible Lord without any personal motive and manufactured ideology. See, therefore, there is no one government within the world. Why there are so many governments, different states and different nations? Prabhupada further writes the same thing. Therefore, it was possible for Maharaj Yudhishthira to rule whole world, including the seas, because the principles were infallible and universally applicable to everyone. The conception of one world state can only be fulfilled if we can follow the infallible authority. An imperfect human being with 4 defects cannot have perfect ideology. So one government comes, they give particular sutras how to rule. Then another government comes, they rule out whatever the previous government established. They have their own sutras. Then the next government comes. Like that, this has been happening throughout the decades. And Prabhupada writes that therefore, if the person is perfect, the government is perfect. If the person is full, the government is fool's paradise. That is the law of nature. Maharaj Yudhishthira, he must have the full autocratic power to rule over the world like Maharaj Yudhishthira. The conception of a world state can take shape only under the regime of perfect king like Maharaj Yudhishthira. The world was happy in those days because there were kings like Maharaj Yudhishthira to rule over the world. So this friction is because of ideological differences. And nobody can give perfect ideology or perfect philosophy on how to live a life unless he is a muktatma, unless he is a pure devotee of the Lord, or unless they follow Shastras. So because we are not following Shastras, we are not following the pure devotees of the Lord, the Mahajans. Therefore, whatever we may come up with, this plan, that plan, everything is going to get baffled in due course of time. Nothing is going to work. No plan. Actually, one Hindi lecture Prabhupada says that, what he says? He says, इस दुनिया में हमारा और तुम्हारा प्लान नहीं चलता है, भगवान का प्लान चलता है. I mean, he's saying that how a pure devotee thinks. He thinks that इस दुनिया में मेरा प्लान नहीं चलता है, आपका प्लान नहीं चलता है. इस दुनिया में किसका प्लान चलता है? भगवान का प्लान चलता है. तो क्यों ना उनका प्लान एग्जीक्यूट किया जाए. So ultimately, if your plan is not going to work out, your friend's plan or your whoever is there with you, his plan is not going to work out, then what is the point in working with that? Let's follow the plan of the Lord. Ultimately, his plan only will be victorious. Nobody's plan will be victorious, right? Our plan is, Prabhupada says in that lecture, our plan is खूब खाएंगे, मजा करेंगे, संसार में घूमेंगे फिरेंगे. But Krishna says तुमको मरना ही पड़ेगा. Our plan is to enjoy unlimitedly, without restriction, without care for the rules. But Krishna's plan is, you must, suffer. And I'll make sure that I'll kick you, I'll beat you, and I'll, so basically this is the kindness of the Lord. But what to do? When we are stubborn, then we should, we have to get beaten up badly, because there is no other way to improve than that. So therefore, it is always better for us, instead of making our own plans, just follow the plan of Supreme Lord as given in the scriptures. Or if that is difficult for you to understand the scriptures, then there are Mahajans, there are pure devotees. Even now at this present, we have pure devotees within ISKCON. So Srila Prabhupada is always there within his books. And then his disciples are always there. If we just follow them, our life will be successful. And if we don't follow, then we have hundreds of plans, which are really not, so interesting to look at. Actually, we may think my plan is so nice. My plan is so perfect, because we are all under the grip of modes of material nature. So whatever we do within the jurisdiction of material energy, within the influence of material energy, that is going to be imperfect, because that is done with the 4 defects. As long as we have 4 defects, we cannot give anything perfect. So therefore, all over the world there are different states, and within society there are different sections. Within family there are different rules. So within a family also. So nowadays, previously that used to they would have just one single television. So at least to watch television they would unite in illusion. So people used to unite. Now everyone has their independent illusion. Everyone has their independent devices. So they are independently united in illusion. I mean, within one family. So that's the situation, right? Okay. Now, Yudhishthira Maharaj was ruling like this. How was his, kingdom? How it was flourishing? And of course, in this verse, it is mentioned that his rule was, the 3rd verse, right? Yeah, 3rd only. Shashasha Ramindra Ivajitashaya. Yeah, like Indra in the yeah. What word meaning you will see this. So he was ruling like he was prosperous like heavenly kings. And then in the 4th verse it is described Kama Mavarsha Parajanya Sarva Kama Duga Mahi Sishichu Sma Vrajan Gava Payoswadhaswatir Muda. Yeah. Vrindavan Mataji, you would like to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Which one should I read, Prabhu? I joined little late.
4th one. 4th one.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kamam vavarsha parajanyah sarva kama dugamahi shishuchah sma vrajanagavah payosodhasvatir muda.
Yeah, read the translation.
Yes, Prabhu. During the reign of Maharaja Yudhishthir, the clouds showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of man in profusion. Due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this was the situation, prosperous situation within the rule of Yudhishthira Maharaj. That cows, they were giving milk for free. You don't have to go and milk the cow. They were giving very happily. Prabhupada actually mentions many of the times this verse in his lectures to explain that the natural prosperity is the basis of human prosperity. So unless the society is prosperous, nature is prosperously giving out the gifts, human being cannot prosper. Nowadays because we live in the city, we don't get to notice this. So at max, if you ask your child about from where you get the milk, they will say from the dairy. Forget dairy, they will say there is a milk packet that comes from where water comes from the water tap, water tank. They do not have the basic idea of how and where these things are coming. So because of artificial purpose, this purport is very elaborate, and you may feel that Prabhupada is not so practical. But Prabhupada is very practical in this purport, because as you read, in the first line, Prabhupada writes, the basic principle of economical development is centered on land and cow. So you may say, what is land and cow? I don't have land and cow, but still I am prosperous. So many of you are thinking like that. I do not have cow, I do not have land, but I am prosperous. So actually prosperity means it's not just a physical prosperity. If you define a health, a medical terminology, it's a physical, emotional, spiritual well-being. These are our different aspects of our healthy life. Physically you may be fit, but emotionally if you are not fit, then you are actually not fit, you are unhealthy, isn't it? So we may have created so much artificial things, like we have gadgets, we have buildings, we have internet, we have artificial, so many things. So out of that we may think that this is the man-made prosperity, but actually without so we have created so many things, man-made things, but without God-made things, the God-made thing, I think I told you sometime back that in one lecture, Radha Govind Maharaj, he says that whatever items we create or manufacture, we write made in Japan, made in India, made in Taiwan, made in this, that. Maharaj says, right, made by God. So there are two aspects to this. First of all, the artificial man-made prosperity can't be sustained without nature's giving us its valuable gifts. If you don't get food to eat, how will you work? Or if you don't get water, how will you work? If you don't get fresh air, if you don't get so many things which are so freely available, we don't notice only because of that, isn't it? If they are not given, who will work in the factories? Who will work on the computers? Who will run the big enterprises? Basic thing, that is the food, and food cannot be manufactured by human endeavor. Prabhupada many times says that you can't eat nuts and bolts. Ultimately, even if you manufacture millions of tubes and tires and cars and this and that, mobiles and this, ultimately at the end of the day, you need a good sleep, you need good food, isn't it? Without food, without good rest, without water, and of course without good relationships nowadays, there is no point. So that's why I see the ultimate frustration of human society is because of not realizing these essential values of life. We may think that I have so much prosperity because I define my prosperity according to my understanding, a conditioned understanding. Our understanding is, if I get to wear good clothes, if I get to drive a good car, if I get to live in a luxurious apartment, that is the idea and definition of my success and prosperity in life. But over a period of time, we are seeing how the Western culture, which is so much glamorized and so much emphasized within the modern world, we have seen how people are becoming empty. It's like something like, yeah, Prabhupada says that many times, that verse is there, that putting good decoration over a dead body. So if the dead body is there and give good clothes and apply good cosmetics, so what's the point? Dead body is always dead. So similarly, unless our spiritual life is activated, forget spiritual, that's the too high, even basic human, our emotional, see, there is a physical life, there is an emotional life, there is a spiritual life, as I have already defined. So unless we take care of our emotions, simply taking care of an external body is not going to satisfy you, even at the material platform. Ultimately, that is also going to frustrate you because that's not the thing we are looking. But that's the beginning of understanding that yes, there are needs beyond the body also. There are needs of the mind, and then gradually you understand, okay, beyond mind there is also need of a soul. So therefore, this is first thing, that without these, basic things like food, milk, water, air. Suppose there is no rain, say for example, you may say we have a Silicon Valley in California, like, or within India, let's say we have cities like Bombay or Bangalore, which are like Bangalore is known as IT hub, right? So they are so proud, or within Bombay we are so proud that Bombay is the financial capital of India. But if there is no rain, just for 1 year, I'm not saying for decades, just 1 year, one season, there is no rain. Then see what all these, big engineers, big MBA managers, what they will do. Do they have any solution for that? But these things are not actually taught. So this is the education actually we are supposed to get. And when we get this basic education, then we understand how much we are dependent on God. This is the linking point actually. The whole civilization is missing this because they are busy in just gratifying their senses under the garb of modernization or globalization or this and that, becoming modern. We are modern. Modern means what? I am modern because I smoke, then I am modern. I am modern, I have 2 dozen girlfriends or boyfriends. I am modern. This is the definition. Just for the artificial show, right? Unless I go to party and have liquor, I'm not modern. I am like an Adivasi. They, brand them, like, Gaya Guzra, Gaon ka Aadmi. But they don't know that the suicide rate is more in the Shahar ka Aadmi than the Gaon ka Aadmi. Why? Because they are so frustrated with their artificial life, not realizing that our life is not just, one-sided, just physical needs. More than that. So this is one thing. And second, even if you take, that I have, so many gadgets or these cars or buildings and this and that, whatever we are manufacturing, it is only because of the raw materials provided by nature, isn't it? But nobody understands this. Everyone, he will, go and claim the Nobel Award. I am Nobel Award, in medicine, this, in engineering, this, and this and that and that. Nobody will say, that God is the one who is supposed to get the Nobel Award. He is the one who gave all these things. He is the one who is giving intelligence. He is the one who is maintaining all of us. He is the one who is giving us, direction on how to work. So they are all missing this. And because of that, Prabhupada writes here in the purport, in the 4th, 5th line, 3rd, 4th. Certainly one does not require flesh and fish or iron tools and machinery. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir all over the world, there were regulated rainfalls. Rainfalls are not in the control of the human being. The heavenly king Indradev is the control of the rains. And of course, Prabhupada further ahead writes that, grains and vegetables can sumptuously feed a man and animals, and a fatty cow delivers enough milk to supply a man sumptuously with vigor and vitality. Part of the reason why cows are not giving milk is they are not fed nicely. Secondly, they are slaughtered. They are always, fearful. Now he's going to slaughter me. How can such unhappy, suppose you are not properly mentally, in a proper frame of mind, can you, follow your routine nicely? No, it becomes difficult. So for these poor animals, there is always a fear. Prabhupada writes that if there is enough milk, this is the beautiful line Prabhupada many times, in many of his small books it is repeated. If there is enough milk, enough grains, enough fruit, enough cotton, enough silk, enough jewels, actually we don't have enough at this point of time, because the nature is not supplying because of our sinful activities, isn't it? But if everything is enough, is given, then why do the people need cinemas, houses of prostitution, slaughterhouses? What is the need of an artificial luxurious life of a cinema, cars, radio, flesh, and hotels? Has this civilization produced anything but quarreling individually and nationally? Has this civilization, see, he's writing these purports in 1960s in the Radha Damodar temple, the time when world was trying to become modernized, and Prabhupada could see in India, the government of India was trying to bring industrial revolution, green revolution, and this revolution, that revolution, so many revolutions. So of course everything is required, but should be done in such a way that our spiritual life is not put at the risk. Because if spiritual life is not given priority, everything else will ultimately is going to baffle you. Because that's the plan of Krishna. What is the plan of Krishna? That all of us should go back home, back to Godhead. And all these facilities are given for that one single purpose. If that purpose is missing, then it is sure that you are going to get baffled. You are going to get, that's what Bhagavad Gita says, Moghasha, Mogho Karmana, Mogho Jnana Vichetasa. That in our all endeavors, our Gyan, our karma, we are all baffled. So we may have best of the intelligent people in this world, best of the philosophers, best of the workaholics or whoever, but all of them are baffled at the end. Big philosophers, comedians, scientists, why they are committing suicides? I mean, here in our Bombay, there is a BARC, Anushakti Nagar. Varan was always used to tell Anushakti Nagar. But all, they sometimes you will get the news that one scientist jumped off from the building and committed suicide. You would say Atmahatya Nagar, not Anushakti Nagar. Why? Because after learning everything and all that, if at the end your heart is not satisfied, then nothing is going to make sense to you. Nothing. Then we have to surrender to Maya fully. Let me finish myself. That's the last thing. Complete mode of ignorance. So there is a mode of Rajogun where people want to live life, mode of goodness, they want to even become better and go to heavenly planets, mode of goodness. And mode of ignorance means I want to live either like an animal, or if I'm frustrated while living that, then I want to give up. Final peace. That's why they say, rip, rest in peace. What rest in peace? He's not going to be rest in peace. Next life, he is going to become even more, violent in his material desires, because the desires are not fulfilled. What rest he will get? No rest, unrest. So better we should say unrest in peace. So there is a peace because there is a death. But death is just for the body, but there is unrest for the soul because of the material desires. Right? And then Prabhupada writes little ahead in the, I think, second purport paragraph. Yeah, I may not read it because we have less time. Already 8:27. Yeah, last 2-3 lines I'll read. Last 4 lines of the purport. Last paragraph. Human civilizations should depend on the production of material nature without artificially attempting economic development to turn the world into a chaos of artificial greed and power only for the purpose of artificial luxuries and sense gratification. This is but the life of dogs and hogs. So by all of you may be thinking this purport is not so practical to us. So we are surrounded by all the unnatural things actually. But there are natural things also. If we open our eyes, if we open our heart, if we open our intelligence to see, to hear, to know them, they are there. You see the air is around us. You stop the air for a few minutes and then you will realize how big scientist you are. You stop the drinking water for half of the day, you will realize how big doctor you are. You stop eating food, you will realize how big industrialist you are. Isn't it? So these are just common sense, but actually common sense is so uncommon in the modern world, as they say. The common sense is uncommon because we have become
Finish.
yes. And the more the responsibility our leaders take. So see, this is the section where Yudhishthira Maharaj is ruling. So if the leader is full, then citizens are there also going to be full. Whatever leader does, that the praja is going to follow. And all our leaders, I'm not talking just about some politicians, but our leaders are sports stars, our Bollywood stars, But what they can teach you? They themselves are, not following any rules. And we are just our child, our kids. They are, oh, I want to become like that. I want to become like this. And what you want to become like them or this or that? You tell them you want to become happy in life. That's the fundamental reason why you want to become like this or like that. So people think that if I become like that particular star, I will be happy. Then go and ask him if he is happy. Then he will tell you, my last movie was flop, though I tried hard. For last 30-40 years I was so super hit, but suddenly I became flop. Why? Because this is the plan of the material nature. It's not that some section of people are opposing or some section of society is opposing to someone. No, they are just instruments. This is all arrangement of the material nature to baffle you at the end of the day. Then you will come to your senses. Oh, I am missing something. And then you will turn to scriptures. If you are pious, if you are fortunate enough, then you will turn to sadhus to ask what's happening. And then you will get the answer, like here in the purports of Prabhupada. Then the 5th verse. Yeah, you can recite the verse, Vrindavan Lila Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Nadyah samudra gireh savanaspati viruddha phalanti aushadhayah sarva kamam anvrtu tasya vai.
Okay, so verse translation. Usha Mataji, are you there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, please read the 5th verse translation.
Translation. The rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their tax quota to the king in profusion.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you. So Prabhupada is so brilliant in translating it, as a tax. Because Yudhishthira Maharaj is the king. If the king is ruling properly and taking care of all the prajas, not just of the human beings, but of the animals, because they are also praja. Those who are born in your kingdom, whether they are birds, animals, plants, they are all praja. So if you take their care nicely, then they will also return you whatever, in their capacity, some gifts. So taxes, they are returned by, nature. So what happens actually in the modern world is people think that nature is unconscious, isn't it? Nature is unconscious. So I can go and just exploit whatever I want. I can plunder. But they have to realize that nature is not unconscious. It's very much conscious. Ultimately, she is Durga, right? She is none other than another aspect of another form of Radharani. So there is a kind, loving mother. So she is also mother, but her love is tough love. So there is a concept of tough love. Why her love is tough? Because unless she becomes tough, you are so stubborn. You're not going to listen so easily. So therefore, she has to become so tough. That she has to beat you like anything, with Tritap, Adhyatmik, Adibhautik, Adidaivik. And then you come to your senses. And unless we become like that, nature is not going to provide us. Prabhupada writes that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th line somewhere here. Yeah, beginning from the 3rd line. The secret to success the secret to success is to take refuge under the protection of the Supreme Lord, like Yudhishthira Maharaj. Without his sanction, nothing can be possible. To make economic development by our own endeavor on the strength of tools and machinery is not at all. Dear sirs and madams, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we may think that, oh, now if I develop this airplane, if I develop this big gigantic, factory, or I have this and that, or some weapon. Now in the modern time, the weapons, so much competition to have weapons, nuclear weapons, and this weapon, that weapon. We may think, well, now I am advanced, now I am progressing. But actually, Prabhupada says that this is not economic development by our own endeavors on the strength of tools and machinery is not at all possible. The sanction of the Supreme Lord must be there, otherwise, despite all instrumental arrangements, everything will be unsuccessful. The ultimate cause of success is Daiva. So in the histories you have seen, big, countries, economically so developed, they say like that. And then there is a big earthquake. And one shot, whole civilization is wiped out. And to reconstruct that, again, it takes decades. But still we are so much under illusion, we think we are progressing. But one, small movement of the nature can help you realize. But because we are not associating with the devotees, that's why it is so difficult to understand that we are not actually progressing. Prabhupada writes that today's slogan is that everything is for the people and therefore the government is for the people and by the people. But to produce a new species of humanity and the present moment on the basis of God consciousness and perfection of human life, the ideology of godly communism, the world has to again follow in the footsteps of Yudhishthira Maharaj. And then it says, last line in this, 552. There is enough for everything by the will of the Lord, and we can make proper use. Actually, Prabhupada used to say many times that there is enough that world can produce, 10 times the population of the world. It is only out of greed. And actually, Prabhupada says here somewhere, maybe not in this Prabhupada, but somewhere I heard that, here only, page number 553. Prabhupada writes that in between, the artificial way of living depending on factories and tools can render so-called happiness only to a limited number at the cost of millions. Isn't it? That's a fact. So in the cities, you will see hardly few are millionaire, billionaire. All others are very badly struggling. All middle class. What to speak of the lower middle and poor class below that. So of course, this is a definition based on the financial status. Happiness, or the success of how a happy life you are living, there may be some different criteria. But even if you see like this, even in the city of Bombay, I guess many of you stay in the city only, right? Like Bombay, Calcutta, or Delhi. So what time you start your job? Any of you going to job? I mean, Matajis, they may be going, may not be going to Prabhujis.
Quit Prabhu.
Oh, you're already, so you're back home, back to Godhead. So I see here, we have one family here nearby. They are connected to us, devotees. So they are big, rich Marwadi family from Jaipur. So they have gold and diamond and all that, merchants. But my observation just, so that Prabhuji starts 10 o'clock in the morning, he goes to the shop. 10 o'clock in the evening, he will come back, night. So I was just speaking to them. I appreciate what they work and what they have, and they are devoted. They are practicing. But this is our fate in the material world, in the modern time. Somewhere actually Prabhupada used to say previously people used to work only for 4 months of rainy season. 4 months you work, get good crops, and then utilize that for the rest of the year and do Tirtha Yatra. See, even Chaitanya Charitamrita, you see, devotees from Bengal, they used to go to Mayapur by walk from Mayapur to Jagannath Puri, isn't it? It would take months. So how it was so economical for them? 4 months you are taking leave from the job. How it would be economical? So they definitely they were dependent on the Supreme Lord, but more than that, they had good planning. So this finally I mean not anybody to criticize or anything, but just not just this family, but everyone. Even when I was working in the college and after college days, one job I had, I was working in some steel factory as a supervisor. So this was a 12-hour shift from morning 7 till evening 7. My God, if you go in the early morning, 7 o'clock, you have to reach office, means you have to get up at least 5 o'clock. Now in Mumbai, you need to get at least 4 o'clock because your home is at least 2 hours away from your, factory or office. And you don't know. Yeah, we still have the practice of Dindi Yatra. Yeah, they go. So we say that these are poor farmers, they're poor people, but they are more opulent and rich than us. They have the
Very true.
luxury of taking vacation for 2 to 3 months altogether. And the so-called big billionaire, he doesn't have even 1 day to spare. Why? Because the more you have to maintain. The more giant the body is, the more the maintenance required, isn't it?
More the fear of losing also.
Yeah, more the fear of losing. Yeah, and because of the fear only, so much maintenance. I may not lose my status quo in the society. I may not lose this, that. Oh my God, so much. Even I can relate to this. When we start preaching, of course, this is a positive side. Of course, when we set particular standards of devotional service, then we are always, alert that I need to maintain this. Now, so many people know me. So many people, they are aware that I'm so and so, I'm doing this preaching that. So my behavior should be like this. So many things. This is positive side, of course. But in the materialistic, life, they're always busy to just maintain their prestige. And that prestige is what? That ultimately, at the end of the day, uh,
Ram Nam Satya.
yeah. And suppose, just imagine, you don't get to eat properly even within your entire day. You don't have peaceful few hours to rest nicely. Then how much horrible this life is. So our idea of success and our idea of progress is completely under illusion. Yeah, then Prabhupada, that's why they writes that since the energy of the mass of people is engaged in factory production, the natural products are being hampered, and for this the mass is unhappy. Things are not going to make us happy. We have to realize that because we are spirit, and whatever the things in the world are matter. Just like there was one quote of Vedant Prabhu. Yeah, he was saying that small desktop calendar is there, Prabhuji's calendar. Yeah, I have here. Yeah, it's something like this. Beautiful quotes, 365 days, 365 quotes based on Bhagavad Gita. So I don't know, it was not here, but some few of them I have here for courier. So somewhere written that the more time we spend in worrying, instead of worrying so much, if we pray, in that time our worry will get reduced. Isn't it? Most of the time we just worry. What will happen? What will happen? What? Better you pray in that time, then your worry will automatically get solved. Isn't it? The whole civilization is just worrying. Kya hoga? Whether I'll get this, whether I have that, whether I may not lose this or that. But if we just have basic necessities of life, whatever required, I'm not saying that from tomorrow you should go to the quit your home and and go under the tree and just live there. No, not like that. We should have whatever we need, but then we should also take care of our spiritual side so that we can become happy, because that's the only thing which is will make happy. There is no control by the trained agent of the Lord. We must look into the defects of modern civilization by comparison here, and should follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Yudhishthira to cleanse man and wipe out. Yeah, what is this term? Prabhupada's English is. Can you find out this anachronism.
Yeah,
What is the
it's
meaning of this?
kind of anarchy, I believe.
Okay, Prabhupada's English is Saraswati Thakur's English was even more than that. Yes, okay, then 6th verse. Yeah, read, Mataji, please read the, recite the verse.
Yes. नाधयो व्याधया क्लेशा दैवभूतात्म हेतवः अजातशत्राव अभवन् जन्तूनां राज्ञी करहिचित्.
Okay, so here is a Kanaka Chaitanya Prabhu. You are there.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Can you read translation for the 6th verse?
क्योंकि राजा का कोई शत्रु न था, अतएव सारे जीव किसी भी समय मानसिक क्लेशों, रोगों या अत्यधिक ताप तथा शीत से विचलित नहीं थे. श्रील प्रभुपाद.
Okay. Yes. Our anxiety is because we have so many enemies, and some enemies are created by, by artificial lifestyle. Like, yeah, I was just speaking to one of our devotee some other day. So that devotee, he was asking me to hire, he was asking if any driver is there for them, for their home. So I gave contact number of one of the 2 drivers. Then the driver called me back. He said, Prabhuji, it's a 12-hour job. We can't do. It's too much, 12 hours. So then I was just speaking to the devotee. I said that, see, but actually the devotee kept on changing so many drivers last few years. So then I told her that, see, if you have 8-hour shift and 2 drivers, they will be more peaceful. If they are more peaceful, they will contribute more, and then you will be more peaceful. Instead of having one driver for 12 hours, you may save little money, but then see, this is an experience in our daily life that if our, those who are working under us, if they are not happy, they emit a kind of negative vibration, and that vibration indirectly affects us, isn't it? We may not realize. We may think, I'm getting my work done, so what? I am so efficient. You do not know. Things happen at subtle level, right? So here Prabhupada is saying that, and in the verse also there are 3 kinds of calamities given. Daiva Bhutatma Hetava, Adivaitik, Adhyatmik, and Adidaivik. These 3 kleshas are always there. If not one, then the other is there. If that, then other is there. If everything is fine, our mind will just agitate us. If our mind is proper, then there will be excess rain, excess heat, somehow or other there will be some problem at any point of time. Just like there was one small story that one disciple goes to Guru and he says that, why there are so many problems in my life? I want to get rid of all those. The Guru says that it's not possible. Their problems will always be there. So the disciple, he needed some example to understand that. So there was herd of camels just nearby. Like we have cow shed. So so many cows are there. So similarly, there were so many camels. So the Guru said that go and make all the camels sit down. 100 camels. So camels are camels. So as soon as he will try to make some camels sit down, some other would get up. So he goes there and try to make others sit down, some will get up. So then he came back and said, it's not possible. Somehow, not everyone is sitting. Somehow few are always standing. So Guru said, see, this is the life. Your life cannot be 100% problem-free life. Not possible, Prabhu. In material world, that is not possible. For that, you have to go to spiritual world. That's the only place where problems doesn't exist, isn't it? Here also, actually, problem will not exist if our consciousness is not rooted in the matter for enjoyment. Prabodhanand Saraswati Thakur says, "Na Vishwam Purna Sukhayate." The whole world is appearing like a, place of happiness. Everywhere I see happiness only. Why? Because everywhere I see the opportunity to serve the Lord. Wherever I see opportunity for my sense gratification and I don't get that, that's a problem for me. So life cannot be 100% problem free, right? There will be problems. That's possible only when we spiritualize our consciousness. And of course, Prabhupada here writes in between that they were not only economically well-to-do, but also physically fit and undisturbed by supernatural power, by enmity from other living beings, and by disturbances of bodily and mental agonies. There is a proverb in Bengali that a bad king spoils the kingdom, and a bad housewife spoils the family. This truth is applicable here also, because the king was pious and obedient, so therefore the Praja was also pious. Praja was also very happy, isn't it? So otherwise we have so many enemies. Our own mind is enemy, what to speak of others. Our intelligence is enemy. Because why? Because our intelligence is corrupted by material knowledge. In the modern education system, we may think that I am very learned and educated, but that has spoiled your intelligence so much, you realize only when you come to Hare Krishna. It is so difficult to clean the slate, to clean the impressions of intelligence and mind and ego. So horrible.
Very true.
Unless one is pious and recognized by the Lord, he cannot make others happy who are under his care. See, this is Prabhupada's purport. Actually, we should study very carefully these purports, and each line can become a big sutra, for the life. Such a beautiful line. Unless one is pious and recognized by the Lord, he cannot make others happy, because ours is not a power to make others happy. It's the power of the Lord to make them happy. Because unless Lord is favorable to anyone, they cannot become happy. Sarvasya chaham hridi samnigishtam matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha. Within the heart, the Lord is there. If he wants, he can give you the forgetfulness of a particular thing. If he wants, he can give you the remembrance.
Yes.
And if Lord doesn't want you to be happy, he will always give remembrance of bad things. All the trauma, all the problems, all the negativity, that's what will make you crazy. So unless Lord is pleased with you, we cannot become happy. And of course, the way to please the Lord is to please the devotees of the Lord. And then we can, that's why Prabhupada is saying that pious and recognized. There is a full cooperation between man and God and man and nature. And this conscious cooperation between man and God and man and nature, as exemplified by Maharaj Yudhishthir, can bring about happiness, peace, and prosperity in the world. The attitude of exploiting one another, the custom of the day, will only bring misery. That's what our life is. We are only exploiting each other. As soon as my interest is fulfilled, then I no longer would like to invest in you, dear Prabhu. Isn't it? So that should not become the main ingredient of our consciousness. Otherwise, it will never make us happy. Yes, and then, so we'll read the translation. Then 7th verse, Sri Krishna, Lord Sri Hari, Lord Sri Krishna resided at Hastinapur for a few months to pacify his relatives, especially Subhadra. Prabhupada writes in the purport, and please his own sister Subhadra. Yeah, in the translation purport also. Subhadra was especially to be pacified because she lost her only son Abhimanyu, who was just married. And then the 8th verse, Prabhupada says, afterwards, when Lord Krishna asked permission to depart and the king gave it, the Lord offered his respects to Maharaj Yudhishthir by bowing down at his feet, and the king embraced him. After this, the Lord, being embraced by others and receiving their obeisances, got into his chariot. So that's how Lord Krishna will start to depart for Dwarka, which we will see tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhagavad Mahapurana ki
Jai.
So of course, as whatever we discuss, we may think that these purports are very good, but what to do, Prabhuji? We have our job. We have our office, we have our kids, we have to deal with the car, gadgets, cinema, TV, television, and all that we have to deal. The purports are very nice, good idea, good principles, good philosophy. We may think like that, but the essence of everything is how we prioritize our spiritual life. It's not that we have to give up every, minimize or reduce our use of gadgets and this. Use that, but use for Krishna, isn't it? Spend your time for Krishna. Spend your life for Krishna. Prioritize your chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. So that's the practical thing we can do in the modern, context. Otherwise, very difficult to, and that's what Prabhupada actually gave. At the end of everything, Prabhupada will say that the best way to, practice whatever the principles, the philosophies we learn is to finally chant nicely Hare Krishna. Follow the Mahajans, the devotees, and under their guidance, perfect our life. That's the way of happy life.
Prabhu, like we say also, not may, we say that we can use technology, everything for the service of the Lord. It's all fine, but then technology is definitely demoniac, because even when we see, even in Bhagavatam also, we see that the lower planetary systems also, technology is very high, it's very developed.
Yeah.
Because it actually takes us away from Krishna. We may try, we may say, okay, it's a Yukta Vairagya and all that, but it's not so easy. Like here we are trying, like whatever little bit of experience I've had, I could see that when we had gone to the farm and we were trying to spend our time, little bit of farming we did. We don't know because we have been brought up in a very different type of artificial setup. But when we did little bit of plantation also, spontaneously we were praying to the Lord, let there be good rain, let everything flourish. But when we are in the city, we are so much away from nature. We don't pray. We don't even think about that how we will get our grain. We are so sure. No, I have money in my pocket and I will get it from the store. So it's very, very difficult to actually use technology also in the service of the Lord. We may give some kind of satisfaction, but it's very artificial. This is what I feel. Maybe I have a lot of contamination in me and I'm finding it very difficult, and others may not. But personally, I feel it's very difficult, almost close to impossible.
Yeah. That is
So how to deal in that situation? Because if we try to tear ourselves away from technology, then also maybe mandabhagya, as we read mandabuddhi mandabhagya. So even when we have come to know and realize, no, this is difficult, now I should not, still we are not able to tear ourselves away from that. So what should be done in that situation?
Yeah, see, therefore, the principle always is, Yukta Vairagya principle is always there, Rupa Goswami has given us. See, even Lord Krishna employed Maya Danav in the service of his devotees, isn't it? Maya Danav, he only constructed that Indraprastha palace.
Yes, when they were
So,
the yes.
yeah, so it is demonic technology, but everything is the energy of Krishna. Now this is one part. Everything is the energy of Krishna should be utilized, because that's only it will save you. It's not that running away from that will save you. No, running away from these things which can be utilized in the service of the Lord will not help you. But to have this principle of Yukta Vairagya, we need to have Vairagya, isn't it? You may have heard this many times.
Yes.
So therefore, only under the guidance of the devotees and Shastras and our spiritual mentors or spiritual masters, we have to utilize it. Just like suppose, for example, in even outside world they have this concept of using parental control apps. It's a kind of example. So technology is there, they want to use, but even though they also know the pitfalls of technology, isn't it? So I'm not saying that just some content which may spoil them, but there are things any scam or anything we can do with the tech. Nowadays the technology has gone to such a level that people can, completely, I mean, they think that without that we can't live, but overuse of that can also create so much conflict, isn't it? So therefore, it is always better that we use that under the guidance. Without guidance, it is definitely going to become, very, very troublesome. So now you may,
Like
yeah,
what I'm sorry, Prabhu, I'm interrupting.
yeah,
Like what we studied earlier, like in Bhakti Shastri also, there was something like Anashaktasya Vishayan Yatharam Upayanjitah Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. So it's fine, but then we have to be Anasaktasya Vishayan.
yeah,
First, that Asakti has to go. And if Asakti has gone, then there is no problem only. But the problem is we are trying to have Yukta Vairagya without having reached that level. We may be under guidance, but we have not lost attachment. Those attachments are still there. And that is where it is, already there's so much of dirt. We are adding to that dirt further and further, despite knowing that
yeah.
I have to.
See, the simple thing is, then don't use.
Yes.
See,
Uh,
the principle is how much you are determined to practice spiritual life, progress in spiritual life. That everything depends on your seriousness.
yeah,
If you
that
are
is
sure that this thing is going to damage me, then either don't use, or if you are, using it because sometime it may be very, essential, vital for your service to use that, then use it under strict guidance. I'm again and again saying strict guidance means strict, under vigilance of the devotees. Without the association, actually not just technology or anything, but without the guidance of devotees, anything we do in spiritual life is not going to help you in long run.
yes.
See, say for example, if you decide from tomorrow I'll chant 64 rounds every day, is that practical?
I don't, not for me.
Yeah. So see, although it is a great spiritual principle, chanting means is the sum and substance of our movement,
Yes.
but there has to be a proper balance based on how much you can take, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not just technology, but anything you need guidance. Without guidance of devotees, without guidance of Shastra, spiritual master, it will be difficult. So now you may take some, practical, just like I don't use smartphone, I use, keypad phone.
Yeah.
For what purpose? Now you may say, okay, it's very difficult to, in the modern time to live without a smartphone. So I have another ways of using smartphone, like, I have installed here BlueStack on the computer, and WhatsApp is there on that BlueStack. So only when I need to access, I access. Otherwise, I don't access. So it's not that WhatsApp is. I'm just giving my case. May not be applicable, practical to every one of you, because you have different circumstances of life. I have different circumstances. So sometimes it may happen that WhatsApp will control you instead of you are controlling WhatsApp. So to avoid that, I'm simply using here in my PC. So I'm peaceful. Whenever I see, as soon as I go out of this room, now I'll shut down the already time 9 o'clock, so it will shut down. I have not a parental app here.
That's
Just giving
nice.
some just random examples of how we can use the technology if it is really essential, unavoidable for your service, but under the guidance. And beyond that, definitely purification is required. So these are just some immediate steps to safeguard ourselves, but that's not enough. Eventually you have to purify your heart,
Yes.
because you will encounter the sense objects within this world. If sense objects are not outside, they are always within your mind, always within your subconscious mind.
Yes.
So we have to purify our heart. So of course, so we begin with the wall, a barrier between me and sense object. So we have to keep one barrier. So that barrier can be a devotee, a barrier can be a shastra, a barrier can be a guru, but best is the devotee. Why? Because the devotee will proactively speak with you.
I think as you were speaking through, just one thought crossed my head. Like I didn't share it in so much, but practically I felt even something like electricity that also creates a lot of problem, because I remember that when we used to go to the village, with the sunset, all our activities are over. With
Yeah,
sunset,
yeah.
we will finish off our prasadam, everything is done.
Yes, yes.
And then we are not dependent on other things, just go to bed, then morning with the rise of sun, everybody is up and they are back to activities. So something which we consider basic as electricity, that is also ruining our life. I tried so much, it didn't work out for me to be away from this.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then now, as you were sharing your experiences and your solutions, suddenly just one thing hit my head. I don't know to what extent it's right. Like all this while, I was making an effort, like thinking I am the one, like ahankar vimhudatma karta ham iti manyate. Like my effort is not, I should have a sincere desire in my heart to make myself more dependent on the Lord,
yes. So see, suppose for
surrendered
example,
to Him.
yeah,
Maybe seeing my hair, how will help me in
yeah.
move further.
So just like you were saying, electricity, right? So because of the electricity, we are always awake till we personally can switch off the lights,
Yes,
and that free will is
yes,
there with us. That free desire is with us. But suppose if you decide from tomorrow I'm going to get up at 3 o'clock and chant Hare Krishna because I want to complete my rounds by 7 o'clock in the morning. So will you not do that? You will definitely go to sleep early morning. Early evening. So you have to set some
yes,
spiritual goals which will help you to become
very true.
detached from unnecessary engagement in the material life. That's the
Very
only
right.
part that which is in your hand. You decide that I want to do this much spiritual activity, and to prioritize that, I need to close up everything early. So why do I have Norton at 9 o'clock here? I could be, remaining awake till 11 also, which I used to have that like that few years ago. But then gradually I realized, okay, I need some support. So see, whatever support works, you get it, whether from the modern technology, from your friends, from family, wherever. These are some random examples, but I'm just saying that one thing is always there. We don't have to say no to Maya by force. As soon as we say yes to Krishna, there is automatic no to Maya.
My
That's the fundamental principle that works, very efficiently. If you
very
say no
true.
to Maya, then yes to Krishna, then you have time to engage for the Maya. So just if we see for last 2 hours we are discussing Bhagavatam, 1.5 hour. So you are with the Bhagavatam, you are not with anything else. So after this
Yes,
class you decide that okay, now tomorrow I need to get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock. Then you will just wind up and go to sleep. But all these things they work only in the association of devotees because we need some inspiration, some
yes,
devotees to inspire us, to remind us over and over again that see this is the way we are supposed to go. These are the goals we have set. This is the direction we are going. That actually purport will come a little ahead. Another verse. Prabhupada says that because of the bad association, our desires are bad. Everything
mm,
boils down to desires association only. If you associate with the sadhus like Prabhupada or Maharaj, Gurudev, or sincere, serious, dedicated, advanced devotees, then definitely we will also would like to you know follow what lifestyle they are following because that's the natural spiritual healthy contamination you will get from them. And if you associate with
yes.
worldly people,
Yeah, Janat Sankash.
yeah, your college friends or your so-called so many speakers on the YouTube, and you listen to this person, to that person, and he said that in the newspapers, and so much garbage and all filled with more of ignorance and passion. Then you are going to remain awake till 1 o'clock in the night. Then the Maya is so smart, then she will say, okay, why don't you watch Prahlad Maharaj movie in the night, 11 o'clock? So you may say, I am watching, Mahabharata, or I am hearing. See, that is also Maya. If your morning japa is going to get spoiled by reading Bhagavatam throughout the night, that's Maya. Therefore, so Bhagavatam reading is the principle, spiritual principle. But suppose you read Bhagavatam 1 till 2 o'clock in the night and next day you don't have time only to chant Hare Krishna, then what's the point? little, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's so actually it's so much applicable on me.
Yeah, I mean, not. It may be different to Suppose you are not working. You are of course, in the home. You have a lot of work. But I'm saying, suppose I have a 9 to 5 job tomorrow. Whole night I'm awake. Maybe for the spiritual sake. But if suppose next day you are not able to chant only, then you are missing the essence. Therefore, it requires a guidance. Without guidance, living spiritual life, practicing spiritual life based on our own ideology or our own thoughts can create havoc. Maybe you will feel I'm so spiritual in the beginning. I'm chanting 64 rounds for, like that Prabhupada Maharaj was giving one example from Prabhupada's time only. With one devotee, he was telling, I want to chant whole day. Prabhupada said, don't chant. We are not like Haridas Thakur. We chant 16 rounds and then engage in the physical services. He said, no, I want to become Haridas Thakur. Then he went to the Vrindavan somewhere, he chanted for so many months. And then, Maharaj met Radha Maharaj after some time. This devotee was seen on the petrol pump. Then Maharaj asked, what happened? You are here? He said, yeah, I'm here. Because I chanted my whole life's japa in those 6-7 months. Now I am liberated. So that what happens. Extremes are really not good for neophytes.
Very true.
Yeah, chanting whole night is good for Haridas Thakur or Goswamis, not Prabhupada. Not for us. Because we may now do whole night japa and then next day whole day we'll sleep. We need steady practice, not like crashing like big star and then you're gone. We need a steady practice, and steady practice needs steady guidance from the devotees. Good association. All right. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. So we will meet tomorrow. Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for wonderful
Thank you
class.
so much,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you.